Let us discuss about the 72 hours funeral programs that both General Ogola and Raila said in their wills. First of all, there is a confusion in the case of Raila. In at least two occasions, there has been confusion. The daughter says that her father died in her arms and not what the social media is saying. Then Oburu says that people are saying that Raila wanted to be buried next to his mother, but the funeral committee changed it for him to be buried next to his father. Oburu then, in an annoyed voice, says, "So what? Both are his parents." Social media has come with both its advantages and disadvantages. One of the biggest, if not the biggest advantage, is that young people knowing and utilizing a non-person to person environment and taking advantage of many at times using pseudonyms can utter words that they would not have done should there be a face-to-face. What I'm trying to say is that a face-to-face environment has its advantage and disadvantages. So you find that the same applies to social media. Now, in the absence of face-to-face, we take the advantage of being very sincere, especially when we use pseudonyms. We don't use the real names. It gives us an opportunity to be open. But the disadvantage is that young persons use that opportunity of hiding behind pseudonyms and also hiding behind pseudonyms to talk things. Okay, we have said the advantage of being free at whatever, but then they use that advantage of or use pseudonym to talk in a very impolite way. They talk abusive things, which maybe if we had a person-to-person talk, they would not have said so. Some of the abusive things that they talk, a person high on several narcotics and with mental challenges would find it hard to do so. They wanatumia matusi ile mbaya sana. We don't care. And even when they know that they are younger than your last born. There is even some languages that I could not, started noticing it from 50 years and above. 50 years and below, you find if you are with your age mates of the same gender, you can talk any unprintable things. But mark you, past 50 years, you find it a challenge, even if you are with people of your age, of the same gender as you, we find that some of these unprintable things become a bit hard for us to utter them. I think that is that goes with the age. I noticed from 50 years and above. There is also the element of once the truth is found, it is always good to come out publicly and apologize. No, 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 no. Not this young generation. Even when the young generation argue with you, use unprintable words to you, so on and so forth, they don't come out later to find out, after the truth has come out, to find out, to tell you that they were wrong and you are right, or even indirectly show apologies. They move on. We have heard the two members of the family, the daughter and brother, say that social media has said, I've quoted them out of context. The best thing the best thing to give the right scenario after that is that you should tell us now what it is. Yes, social media has said that he died running or something like that, but he died in the arms of his daughter. So when the daughter saw that there was need to this to say that it is not as the way social media is saying, then I think the best thing is for her to tell us now the right scenario. Otherwise, you will be digging a hole to fill in another because you have not given a right, and you have, maybe you would have even ignored it. But if you find that it is important for you to react, then kindly give us the correct answer. For example, people say that he was doing a walk and then collapsed, and his bodyguard did a CPR, which failed. Another complementary story is that he was in a medical facility and then he was placed in an ambulance and taken to another hospital. We find it a bit hard and a bit difficult to understand how someone can go from Kenya to India for a medical treatment and then he becomes sick and then he is taken to to an ambulance to another hospital. Was it such that he was being taken out of level 7 to level 8 or something like that? We need a clarification of such things. Such stories of one being in a certain situation with a certain person only to learn that it was in another person. Remember, he is he was a public officer. He was a public property. He is not like me and you, who are not known even after 3 villages. Now, was it the daughter or the bodyguard? Another one that is another one is about wishing to be buried near his mother, but the funeral committee ruling him out and decided to bury him near his father. Yes, Dr. Buru said, so what? But you see, it is true that so what? But if you felt that you have to react on it, then please give us the correct answer. But if it is so what, so what? I remember people even complaining that Ogola's son entered into his grave and so what? Yeah, but you see, Ogola family did not even comment about the issue of the son entering the grave, which is an Luo. So if you must respond to it, then respond it giving the correct version. But if it is a case of so what, then just leave it. After all, people complain. Others even said that Ogola's son would not stay for a week. He'll follow the father. But he has gone, continued. And I'm sure 30 years from today, Ogola's son will still be alive. In the NIS, one is taught that in absence of facts, rumors take over. If you want to kill, if you want to kill rumors, be coming out with facts. You see, people question themselves: why did this happen? Why did this whatever? But if you come out with the correct version, rumors will die. I know someone will ask me that, but did special branch go ahead and Subaru people then and now? Well, even a police officer would tell you that a newly posted recruit would be told, hiyo masomo ni ya kiganjo. So when I quote about NIS training and you start telling, but you see, it is just like police. They are properly taught in kiganjo, but when you go to the station, you are told, hiyo ni mafunzo ya kiganjo. To kill rumors, come out with facts. To add petrol on burning story is to deny without giving your side of the story. As good as the 72-hour notice by both Ogola and Raila are good, maybe those making provision should think about other emerging cases. Yes, traditionally, people got buried within 72 hours because we did not have morgue facilities. You stay with a body more than 72 hours, in those olden days, you find that the body starts getting rotten. So they are only going back to the tradition. But then the tradition, modern people saying someone staying for 2 to 3 weeks. Both Ogola and Raila tried to correct that. Not even to correct, to return it where it used to be. Somebody should be buried within 72 hours. Now, if someone dies in outside places like India, we have to maybe look for, do we have to, like today, other emerging issues have cropped up. If he died in Nairobi, 72 hours, but you see the 72 hours, half of it would still be taken over by bringing the body from abroad or something like that. So we should also think of other things. For example, for those, I'm not among them, but for those, yes, I'm one of the person who believes I should be buried on a Saturday. So, and you see, if I die on Sunday, 72. But if I die on Thursday, okay, mine is Saturday. This is what I'm saying for those who have opted for 72 days, 72 hours. Maybe you should say that 72 hours from the time the body is within Kenya's boundary. Within Kenya's boundary, maybe we should look into such occasion. Yes, Ogola was the CDF. But to me and you, if it were me and you who died where Ogola died, it would be a bit of a challenge. We have just said how the 72 hours should be taken over. For example, Ogola was the CDF. So retrieving his body from Seker Hills near Chesegon will just need an helicopter. But a person like you and me transporting my body or your body from Chesegon to home, you'll find that the 72 hours may take longer than that. The same if I and you died in India, 72 hours may not apply. You find that a person like Raila, a Kenya Airways RO001, RAO001, it was taken from Kenya to go and retrieve his body. So maybe, just maybe, one saying that 72 hours after uh, after death should be, there should be something like, okay, if he or she uh, his uh, his body reaches either Nairobi or provincial headquarters or county headquarters, then they start counting 72 hours from that time. The other thing that both Ogola and Raila pointed out is expenses. They pointed out about expenses. They wanted a quick burial to avoid expenses. Of course, both Ogola and Raila can do two things that you and I cannot do. First and foremost, their families can afford to finance a funeral as big as any and still not face financial consequences. Ogola and Raila families can do that from their pocket without feeling it. A person like me and you, we cannot even have a quarter of that, and it would really bring a lot of problems to us. The second issue is that their positions, that is official position, social positions, and so on, can draw a lot of money to foot any large funeral, something that me and you cannot do. What the two, Ogola and Raila, did, and it is very commendable, is that they are minding about the ordinary individual out there like you and me. Funerals today are very expensive. Funerals today are very expensive. Many cases, immediate family are left with huge financial burden that takes a decade to even level for a to even level for a 10-day occasion. This is more so among the Luos and Luhyas. I have studied the two, that is the Luhya and the Luo, and I can tell you that the Luo burial rites are a million times better than Luhya. Among the Luos, a funeral is a celebration of one's life. You grow up, you get old, knowing that just like they set aside a day for Raila Day, that is a day that we will dedicate it for the person who has died. Luos also take that. It is a day Luos of my age and above will at all times, under the back of their heads, bear in mind that one day I will be the star of people around me will celebrate my life. So people of my age and above in Luoland want people to be well treated in his or her honor when he is dead. So that is the mentality in the Luo. In the Luo funerals, I have been asked by over 20 people, Ichiemo, Ichiemo. That is the mindset of a Luo, is that those in attendance be well taken care of. That is, you are celebrating the life of that person. So when expenses are spent in the Luo funeral, they are expenses to celebrate, to make the departed be happy, to make those who know him, those who surround him, be happy and be contented. So even though the Luo funerals are expensive and so on, but they are done in good faith. But what about Luhya funeral? What about Luhya funeral? I don't like Luhya funerals, even though I am a Luhya. Let us look at Dr. Halwale, a medical doctor. While campaigning for Seth Panyako, a medical nurse. I insist both work in the medical profession. So when Halwale is campaigning for Panyako, he says, when so and so died, did you see Mudavadi attend the funeral? Even for Kenyans who stay in urban areas, for example, when the Aluya dies, you see the people around of all the tribes, they organize for that Luhya to be buried at his home area. And when a Luhya dies and you ask those who attended the funeral how the funeral went on, you'll find a Luhya will describe how he had not developed, how the disease had not developed his place. How, imagine I'm so close to him and I was not well received. How blah, 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 this, how this fellow boasted in Nairobi, yet at home is whatever. But any other person who attends a Luhya's funeral, any person who attends a Luhya funeral and is a non-Luhya, what he means is that the person who has died in Nairobi is peacefully taken to the funeral and is buried without any sin, and we came back. But with a Luhya, talking about the burial of a fellow Luhya in urban areas, you'll be told of that place repeatedly, so that if you go there, even without a tour lead, without a tour guide, you will know the place. That is the Luhya tradition. It affects me because if you stay in an urban area and you're going to bury somebody, just go there, bury, and then come back. If anybody asks you about the burial, just say, we arrived there, we whatever. If there was any problem, we had a problem because before we started the funeral service, there was rain, or before a certain girl came up and said she's the widow, something like that. But a Luhya will say, oh, he stays in Nairobi, kumbe, but he has no land. Has, so what? And even when you're talking to a Luhya, you find saying, you see, I do a lot of things. You know, when you die, you anyway. Uh, Occasionally, I talk and become emotional. Now, let us go back to the important topic of today, because both Ogola and Raila have done a great thing which we should concentrate on. What Raila and Ogola are saying is this, and what Jaramogi said during the SM Otieno funeral in 1985 is this: let us realize that the world is changing. Let us realize the world is changing. Those people who insist, oh, let us follow the Luhya tradition, let us follow the Luo tradition. The Luo and Luhya tradition, someone used to be buried within 72 hours. Nowadays, we throw that person in the mortuary and stay for 72 hours or 3 days. We spend 3 weeks trying to give him a befitting send-off. So what Ogola, Raila, and Jaramogi said in 1985 during the SMO, things are changing. Things are changing. It is not a must for you to be buried in your royal home. That is what Jaramogi said. He said people should even be buried in cemeteries. After all, once you are buried, uh, your immediate family is the one which has supposed to complain that the cemetery is far or something like that. But other people, no, let us go and bury him where he has. So the three eminent Luos are saying that let us look at the changing time. Let us not, at the expenses of everything, stick to the traditions. Some of the traditions we can change. And you see, for people like Ogola and Raila, being buried immediately, they are prominent people, and very soon you'll find that Kenyans, especially Luos, will now start burying their people within a very short time. You see, I don't know whether 72 is coincidental or something like that. It is possible that they discussed. It is possible that they thought alike, or it is even possible that when Ogola died, Raila saw, oh, it is a lot of things. But then let us look at the genuineness of the aspect of trying to say that one person dies and you don't take ages to bury him or her. Some aspects of the tradition may have been applicable in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, but cannot work now for a few reasons. Uh, which we will share. The few reasons are as follows. Everybody nowadays, after dying, they are cementing graves. Now, if the graves are not in a cemetery and we are cementing graves, soon the whole country will be a cemetery. Let us now go to subdivision of land. It was possible in the 50s, 60s, and 70s to bury somebody and whatever. But even if you look at the burial of the 50s, 60s, and so, there was no cementing. Compared to, now let us say, compare my land, the land that is there, with my grandfather, who I was named after. I can say that if I said my land is 5% of my grandfather's, I'd be lying. I would even say it is 1% of my grandfather's hotel. And you see, my grandfather and namesake was not buried, the grave was not cemented. So we are cementing and we are having less land. We have to look into that. Do we continue cementing? And if we are cementing, then we should even think of things such as what do you call cemeteries, because land is becoming less, land is becoming less, and we are now cementing. I know where my grandfather's grave is, and you can find that it is now a farm that people have been. But if you cement a grave, even your great grandchildren cannot farm there. Now, this one is for Luhya. I have seen cases where a family delays the funeral of a parent until his or her child, who is staying in Saskatchewan, if you know a place, should be there. I don't know. We have to look into both the expenses and the realities of today. Now, if it is true that a child, a favorite child of the deceased is in Saskatchewan, why should that child be present when the coffin is being taken into the grave? Are you trying to say that that person will revive the parent? Or do you say that that person from Saskatchewan, when he or she comes, will doubt whether the grave you are showing him or her is the parents? No, no, no. Let us let us be realistic. Amekufa, amekufa. Now, the briefly repeating on what we said today is that uh, Ogola, Raila, and Jaramogi are telling us, they told us when they were alive, and they even brought it so much, whatever, that we should come to realities and realize that the world is changing and we should change, fitting the world that is there today. Let us bury quickly. Let us bury uh, in cemeteries and such and such a thing. Who knows? My grandchildren, because of space on something, my grandchildren may even think of burning the bodies, Asian type. They may even think of that. Let us not live thinking about burial day, and let the dead go in peace, other than us suffering to supposedly please the dead. Thank you, and may God bless you and the future generations.